Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your magical moon message. 'Tis the peace stealer. The moon is about a couple degrees away from the sun in the zodiac sign of Scorpio, in the third decan of the moon, providing an intensity of understanding at the precipice of you transforming your literal psyche as you ascend into a level version nature of yourself that has probably only ever been seriously acknowledged through fantasy, mythology, you name it. And this activation of both sun and moon post a self-nodal eclipse is getting ready to trigger the second stage breakthrough of literally piecing everything at one level over the past 6 months and then on several levels over the past few decades together to aid in, I think, one of the most epic transformations you might really have ever experienced. You'll resonate deeply with what I'm saying because up until this point, it's almost as if like you have been feeling this intangible part of yourself. I won't say take over, but express itself in ways that you're not used to. When we stretch out, facets of our being that we don't usually express, you could feel growing pains. And a lot of, as usual, water sign season, especially this season, may have felt uncomfortable for this reason. If we even compound the fact of illusions being casted at you, which can confound more confusion. Oh, but thank goodness for the new moon phase that's facilitating an activation of not only profound awareness, but in that feeling of the intangible that, in reacting and responding to things feels weird because you're used to doing things in a manual, a normal way. And now this intangible facet of yourself is almost putting you in the passenger seat. And maybe you're just so used to driving, but it's like a lot of functions on a subtle and not so subtle level are becoming more auto-nervous, are becoming more unconsciously competent. If you revisit what I was speaking on during Virgo season, this was a yearly update of your behavioral patterns that, relative to this year, sparked a major epic nature of conscious competency. By the time we had Venus, 12th house to the sun, coming out of Virgo into Libra, this is what is now converting this conscious competency into unconscious competency, of course, relative to the evolution cycle and Pluto cycles, unconscious competency of supernatural abilities and superpowers. That's really the purpose of the summer and fall. After post-integration, once we start breaking through the socials, we're taking abilities we've activated, and now, of course, we are integrating it to enhance it. Then we take that enhancement and ascend it to a higher level. So I can barely contain my excitement because a lot of you are going to feel like what you're stepping into now is really like well-deserved as it is. And, ooh, all right. So relative to this unconscious competency that in these situations may make you feel uneasy because you're making obsolete certain responses and ways you used to do things because now this more unnatural, intangible, true core part of yourself is not taking over because it's you, but it's like having you take the passenger seat. It's like moving more intuitively. This new moon with now this feeling is now with alignment with the sun's awareness going to make you very profoundly aware of what's been happening and activate this. With Mars in Scorpio, which now enables you to apply this activation towards immediate action. This is a once in a lifetime alignment that, once again, I feel is going to really have you tap into a great reward. Like, you're going to feel really rewarded because this is work you've put in. And so relative to this unconscious competence, you are effectively activating transformation. Now, what makes this once in a lifetime, ladies and gentlemen? Mercury is already squaring Saturn. So you're ascending the processing of your brain, squaring Saturn in Pisces, that is hardcore forcing extra dimensional metaphysical concepts for you to now engineer new beliefs so that you can process the supernatural. If you are in denial of these concepts, adopting materialist, reductionist perspectives, or fanatical religious perspectives that don't allow you to see God's creation as good because you're clouded by whatever rhetoric, right? This will now have you, instead of integrate these supernatural updates to your brain's processing capability, this level of denial will have you induce psychosis. It's going to have you literally impede your gifts. Those of you who kind of don't give in to hubris, think you know everything, and surrender to the divine, you're going to really see a culmination to all the work you've been putting in, break you through. That's it. So please keep in mind that square is happening while the new moon is activating. And the evidence of the transformation that you are going to activate right now, this is the most epic part of this. This new moon is exactly opposite Uranus in Taurus. So we have a new moon in Scorpio every year. We come into this point of transforming, which is the application of course, new behavioral patterns we're actually applying. But like the nature of this transformation is going to be instant, sudden, supernatural, drawing from extra dimensional energy, innovative, and revolutionary, the effects of which is going to immediately be seen in our society. And because the god of war is here and Uranus is a planet that signifies revolutions, the next 2 weeks are not necessarily, I would say, I don't think it'd be far off to say that the next 2 weeks will really, involve and feature like historically life-changing events that you want to be prepared to face, because this is still the road to warfare mini arc. Okay, that South Node Libra conjunction all the way to Aries season is that 6-month mini arc. So let's kind of get a little bit deeper here. Now that I've kind of established that this new moon is perhaps top 5 most important new moons of the 2023 year cycle, this is going to be responsible for the supernatural quality of your physiological transformation that enhances and ascends you into godhood. This heightened perception is also going to make you more aware of the metaphysical nature of the spiritual and psychic attacks that you are facing physically and, let me say, spiritually, to denote what is metaphysical. If you understand, you have different bodies, emotional bodies, mental bodies. Okay. People can get by just faking their whole life and putting up facades and getting over with, deluding people. And now that uncomfortable lines are being drawn that hold people accountable to what they're doing, you're starting to see them shake. You're starting to see them crack. It's a really weird phenomenon because for the longest time, these people have been able to hide behind a veil. For the longest time, the way the image of these people were produced was to make them always look a certain way. Now you're starting to see chinks in their armor, because God forbid they have to actually deal with authentic people who are actually about what say they're about. So of course they're going to interface to the public with their facade, but they're punching their fist in the air. And this is where, in the small cracks of what they reveal through their behavior, you're getting the full story. Okay? When you look at uncharacteristic expressions of people's actions in situations that don't warrant it, you start to see the effects of how a lot more people than you would expect are threatened because of the nature of your transformation, and because these people gained so much by you not being in that position to hold them accountable. And now that, due to the consequence and integrity of your actions putting you in this position, it's making people uncomfortable, as it should. This is what I was saying. You are going to be laying the smack down on people, and because you actually stand in integrity, the usual tactics of dark psychology that these people have to do, you might think that these people are just malicious people. They're insecure people. They're weak people mentally. So this is literally inherent in their nature to respond like this, because of course by their fruit you shall know them. This is who they are at the core, and when you trigger it, it shows. So you don't even have to do anything to someone like that. They dig their own grave. Your job is to just maintain integrity. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I'm not even trying to quote Bible lyrics. This is just really important, because when you're dealing with Scorpio going into Sagittarius, the depth of psychological maturity your psyche goes to literally brings you through that death so that you could be reborn like the phoenix and ascend into light. This is the intro into godhood. And what you are seeing, which might be uncomfortable for some of you to accept, is that certain people never really seen you in the position you are ascending to. And whereas certain people are happy for you because they're not evil, these people are threatened because maybe not a lot of people more than them know what you're capable of. And I want to highlight the emphasis of other people, because once we're in the activation stage, the individual signs, a lot of the left quadrant of the zodiac is more focused towards us. Once we come into the social energy, it activates a lot more of these social concerns. Not to say it doesn't happen back then, but this is what's going to bring how you interface and deal with other people. You are activating this awareness and understanding of pure transformation. But the angle at which this is happening is going to be the convergence point in this I Told You So tour, which will make everything pre this moment feel like a setup, and everything after this moment you finally getting ready to blast off. Okay, everything moving forward is you getting ready to activate and integrate the energy. You are activating a quality of wisdom that over the next 2 weeks is going to show you the nature of, and in 2 weeks you will harvest during the new moon in Gemini. So the activation of this new wisdom and energy, you're going to harvest by understanding an ascended perspective. What does that mean? You are activating supernatural energy, and you're going to harvest ascended vision. This energy is going to transform your body's properties, but because Uranus, this once in a lifetime alignment, is opposite this, the sudden awakening and exponential quality of this is going to take this to a level that science will not catch up to, period. Not overnight, it's not. And this is very important, because if you allow your authority of who you are to be defined by these external indicators, you'll be disappointed. But if you take the risk to believe and trust in a facet of yourself that your entire life you were told doesn't exist, you're ready for the Sagittarius adventure. The sun's going to be trining Neptune, and it's also going to be sextiling Pluto. This is just going to add to the intensity of this process. And a trine or sextile like that is like, if we didn't have it, you would just be walking down the street. we do have this, so this is like you pop some acid right before. It's definitely altering how much more beyond the physical you could tap into, and the Pluto sextile is going to make the power of this transformation at the final degrees, literally peak level extreme. This is it, guys. I hope you make the most of this. Whew. Get ready to lay the smack down and continue to let people know you told them so.